Smart moves only. Welcome to Blockstar U. Let's keep it real. The vast majority of people who try crypto investing lose money. They get drawn in by the hype of 100x gains, buy at the absolute worst time, and then panic sell at the bottom, completely crushed. But a small group of investors doesn't just survive these chaotic markets, they actually thrive in them. So, what's the difference? It isn't being a genius, a fortune teller, or a gambler. It's having a plan. It's having rules. The crypto market is a machine designed to exploit your emotions, to trigger your fear and greed, and to transfer your money to those who have mastered their own psychology. Remember, we are not financial advisors. You should always do your own research before making any investment decisions. And take a second to review this disclaimer. You can pause it and read it at your convenience. Now back to it. Today I'm giving you the 3 simple but powerful rules that separate the smart, disciplined investors from the gambling crowd. These aren't complex trading strategies. They are foundational principles that will give you a framework to invest with confidence, a clear head, and something almost nobody in crypto has: a rock-solid exit plan. Stick with me and you'll have a game plan that prevents you from ever being forced to sell at a loss again. In this video, we are not talking about trading with leverage. Trading with leverage is for highly experienced traders only. We will discuss this more in upcoming videos. With that having been said, rule number 1. You only lose if you sell. All right, rule number 1 is the most important, and it sounds almost too simple. You only truly lose money if you click the sell button for less than you paid. Until then, any loss is just on paper. Now, this isn't some motivational fluff. It's the core principle that will shield you from the single biggest mistake in crypto: panic selling. The crypto market is famously volatile. Data from 2025 shows overall market volatility has actually decreased by about 15% from 2024. Yet massive drops are still part of the game. We saw it in October 2025, when a market shock triggered a cascade of over $19 billion in liquidations, with Bitcoin dropping over 14%. Many altcoins fell from 40% to 70% in hours. For the unprepared investor, that's terrifying. The fear of losing everything kicks in, a psychological bias called loss aversion. This is when the pain of a loss feels twice as bad as the pleasure of a gain. That fear is what makes people sell at the absolute bottom, locking in their losses right before the market often recovers. The smart investor gets this. They see volatility not as a threat, but as a natural, if sometimes brutal, part of the market cycle. So how do you make this rule your armor? You follow the cardinal rule of all investing. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. This isn't a cliche, it's your psychological defense. When you only invest money you don't need for rent, bills, or groceries, you take urgency out of the picture. If the market crashes tomorrow, your hand isn't forced. You have time. You're in a position of power. You can afford to wait. If you invest more than you can afford to lose, let's be clear, that's gambling, not investing. But it pays to remember, especially after the bloodbath of 2025, where a huge number of altcoins fell 80 to 99%. Not every project is guaranteed to come back. This strategy gives you the breathing room to hold on to what you believe are fundamentally sound projects. Think about it. The gambler throws their rent money in, hoping to double it in a week. The market dips 30% and they're forced to sell at a huge loss to pay their bills. They were playing musical chairs and the music just stopped. The smart investor allocates a small considered portion of their portfolio, maybe 5% to crypto, and is mentally prepared for it to go to zero. Because they aren't overexposed, they can watch a 50% drop with discipline, not panic. They know they don't need that money for years, so they can hodl and wait. This long-term view is what allows them to ride out the storm. Rule number 1 is your foundation. Build your position so you are never ever forced into a sale by fear or financial pressure. Rule number 2 is all about how you buy. For most people, their strategy is hearing about a coin on social media, seeing it pump, and jumping in. This is called FOMO, fear of missing out, and it's the fastest way to become what traders call exit liquidity. Congrats, you just bought an early investor's bags at the peak. Smart money doesn't chase green candles. Smart money has a deliberate entry strategy. The most proven and stress-free entry strategy for long-term investors is dollar cost averaging, or DCA. Instead of trying to time the market and catch the absolute bottom, a fool's errand that even pros rarely manage, you commit to investing a fixed amount of money at regular intervals. It could be $50 or $100 every Friday, or maybe $500 on the first of every month. The key is, keep it systematic and automatic. Here's the magic of DCA. When the price is high, your $100 buys fewer coins. When the price is low, that same $100 buys you way more coins. Over time, this averages out your purchase price, smoothing out the terrifying highs and lows of crypto. You automatically buy more when things are on sale and less when they're expensive. You completely remove emotion from the buying process. Contrast this with the gambler. They see a coin is up 40% in a day and throw a lump sum at it. Sure, it's headed for the moon. They're buying into pure euphoria. A week later, the market corrects, the coin drops 50%, and they're instantly deep in the red, drowning in regret and panic. See the pattern here? All 3 rules are about taking your emotions, your fear, and your greed and putting them in a box. You replace them with a disciplined, predefined plan. The crypto market is a psychological battlefield that preys on human nature. By using these rules, you're not trying to outsmart the market. You're outsmarting your own worst impulses. That is the true secret to separating yourself from the 99% who lose money and joining the 1% who build lasting wealth. Invest smart, have a plan, and you will win. The DCA investor, meanwhile, just keeps making their regular buys. When that same coin drops 50%, their weekly purchase just snagged them twice as many coins for the same price. They are systematically lowering their average cost, strengthening their position for the next run. They aren't trying to be a hero and catch a falling knife. They're just patiently executing a disciplined plan. This requires a mindset shift. You have to stop seeing price dips as a disaster and start seeing them as discounts. A DCA strategy turns fear into opportunity and ensures your entry isn't a single point of failure, but a resilient, long-term process. That's rule number 2. Don't just buy, have a systematic plan like DCA. Rule number 3, know your exit before you enter. This is the rule that almost every retail investor ignores, and it's why so many people ride a coin all the way to life-changing gains, and then all the way back to zero. They had no plan to take profits. Rule number 3 is simple. Have a predefined exit strategy. An exit strategy is your plan for cashing in. It's not about selling everything at once. It's about methodically securing your gains as the market goes your way. This is critical because greed is just as dangerous as fear. When a bull market is raging, it feels like the price will go up forever. Selling feels like you're making a mistake. This is the emotion that leaves people holding bags of worthless coins when the bubble finally pops. A smart investor defines their exit plan before they even make their first purchase. The plan isn't based on feelings. It's based on cold, hard numbers. There are a few ways to do this, but a simple and powerful one is the tiered price target approach. Here's how it works. Before you invest, you set specific price targets where you'll sell a certain percentage of your holdings. For instance, you might decide, when my investment doubles, a 100% gain, I'll sell 25% of my position. This is a huge move, often called taking your initial investment off the table. Once that's done, you're officially playing with house money. The psychological relief is immense. It's now impossible to lose your own capital. When the price doubles again, I'll sell another 25% of what's left. When it doubles a third time, I'll sell another 25%. That last 25% can be your moon bag, A small portion you hold for the long term, just in case the asset really does change the world. Let's look at the difference. The gambler buys a coin at $1. It runs up to $10. They're a genius. They tell everyone they know and start daydreaming about what they'll do when it hits $100, but they don't sell a dime. Then the market turns, as it always does. The coin drops to $5, then $2, and finally back to $1. The gambler, paralyzed by disbelief and the ghost of their peak wealth, holds on the entire way down as their paper fortune evaporates. The smart investor also bought at $1. When it hit $2, they sold a piece, getting their initial investment back. When it hit $4, they sold more, locking in a nice profit. At $10, they sold even more. When the market inevitably crashed, they weren't panicking. They were calm, sitting on a pile of realized cash, ready to start their DCA strategy all over again for the next cycle. They systematically turn paper gains into actual money in the bank. Your exit strategy is your defense against your own greed. It's the plan that ensures you actually win the game. So, if these rules are clicking for you and you want to keep learning how to invest with a plan instead of gambling on hope, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We put out videos that cut through the hype and give you real, actionable strategies. And let me know in the comments below, which of these 3 rules do you think is the hardest to follow and why? All right, let's wrap this up. The 3 rules to never lose money in crypto are simple, but they're not easy. They take discipline. First, you only lose if you sell. Armor yourself against panic by never investing more than you can afford to lose. This makes you immune to fear-based decisions. Second, use dollar-cost averaging to build your position systematically over time, taking emotion out of the buying process. And third, know your exit before you enter. Define your profit-taking targets ahead of time to protect yourself from greed and make sure you actually lock in your gains. Listen, the crypto market is designed to do one thing: transfer money from the impatient to the disciplined. Most people treat this like a casino, and that is why most people lose. But you're not gambling anymore. You now have the 3 rules that separate the victims from the victors. You've learned to put your fear and greed in a box. You've automated your success with DCA. And most importantly, you know exactly when to walk away a winner. But having the rules is only half the battle. You also need consistency. If you want to keep your momentum going and stay ahead of the crowd in this market, you need to watch this video right here. It's the perfect next step to sharpen your edge. Click right here and let's get to work. I'm Cipher, your host, and this is Blockstar U. Don't just watch the market, master it.